Good evening, everyone. It is 7 p.m., Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, and we are convening a regular meeting of the Cuyahoga Heights Schools Board of Education in the Bonneray Media Center. Mr. Muccio, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Decker.
Here.
Mrs. Etter.
Here.
Mr. Suchaki.
Here.
Ms. Prowse.
Here.
Mr. Dobbins.
Here, 5 present, none absent. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome all students, staff, parents, and interested community members to tonight's Board of Education meeting. The board values and encourages public comment on education issues. Anyone having an interest in the actions of the board may participate during the public comments portion of this meeting. Please identify yourself on the board sign-in sheet that I believe Mr. Young has in his possession. A copy of the board meeting agenda is available for review on our school district's website. Please silence your cell phones during this meeting, and would you now join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So may I have a motion to approve this evening's agenda, please?
So moved.
Ms. Decker moves.
Second.
Mr. Suchaki seconds. Mr. Evans, Mr. Muccio, any changes, edits, additions?
No changes for me.
Okay, great. Well, with that then, let's move to a roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Ms. Prowse.
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye, the motion passes 5-0. And we're moving on to agenda item number 3, staff spotlight, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Evans.
And we've got a special recognition tonight for our staff spotlight. I'm going to read a resolution here for the board to approve. Whereas the Cuyahoga Heights School District has been fortunate to have dedicated staff committed to the mission of the district, and whereas Chris Clements, AKA Twinkie, is a humble and genuine person who treats everyone with a great amount of respect, and whereas Mr. Clements truly cares about people and places their needs before his own, and whereas Mr. Clements has a tremendous work ethic, is always looking for ways to help others, and does not wait to be sought, but often volunteers to help. And whereas Mr. Clements has an abundance of pride when it comes to our school as a whole, and a great rapport with both staff and students. And whereas Mr. Clements has also done a fantastic job leading and working alongside the summer maintenance crew the past 2 summers, and has been known to reward their efforts with coffee and donuts. And whereas Mr. Clements has done a fantastic job, or Mr. Clements is a substantial asset to Cuyahoga Heights Schools, and makes it a point to go above and beyond his work duties to set a standard of excellence, and therefore be it resolved that the Cuyahoga Heights Board of Education congratulates Chris Clements, September 20th, 2023, selection to the Cuyahoga Heights Schools Staff Spotlight. I ask that the board approve that resolution.
Great, thank you, Mr. Evans. So may I have a motion to approve the staff spotlight of the month, please?
So moved.
Ms. Decker moves. Ms. Etter seconds. Is there any further discussion, Mr. Evans? If not, we'll move to a roll call vote.
No, I think that's about says it all. Chris has been on staff for maybe a year and a half, and he's taken over 2 years, and he's taken over the lead with the summer crew. Those were big shoes to fill. Jeanette Mooney had done that for numerous years, and sometimes corralling the high school students during the summer is more than a full-time job. And again, Chris is Johnny on the spot and always willing to help with a hand, and we're just happy to have Chris around.
Great, thank you. So let's move to a roll call vote then, please.
Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki.
Aye.
Ms. Prowse.
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye, the motion passes 5-0, and I congratulate Mr. Clements.
Come on up,
Thank you
Chris.
for his service.
I don't know if you're all aware or not, whenever we do the staff spotlight, we adequately embarrass the employee in the middle of the school day by walking in with music playing and this little spotlight flashing all over themselves. So they get a double dose by doing it here in front of the board meeting, but we make sure that they get their due. So congratulations, Chris. Chris's son Christopher is a medal collector at wrestling tournaments. Now Dad has one.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you again, Mr. Clements. With that, I'm going to move on to agenda item number 4, presentations, and again, turn the program over to Mr. Evans.
And I'm going to bounce it out to Mr. DeTrey.
Board of Education, parents who are here, thank you all for coming out tonight. We are going to recognize several students who have demonstrated above and beyond character and academic progress in classrooms so far in the school year, and we want to recognize them as the Student of the Month for the month of September. And so for the first student to come up, I'm going to invite Santi Dane from the 6th grade to come up. Santi is here with his parents, Max Dane and Ilma Gamboa. He is a resident of Brooklyn Heights, and he has an older brother who also attends Cuyahoga Heights. His favorite subject in school is social studies, and Santi is a member of the band, the rec club, a travel basketball team. Stand on this side. You're good. You're good. You're good. Yep. A member of the travel basketball team, and he enjoys playing the guitar when he's not at school. He is considering joining the Navy or becoming a bodybuilder or playing the guitar in a band when he's done with school. And here's what his teachers had wrote. Santi Dane of Gryffindor House has been selected as the 6th grade, or has been chosen as the 6th grade student of the month for the month of September. This fantastic young man has started the school year in the best possible way. Santi's organizational skill, engagement in the classroom, and willingness to perform in a manner that exceeds expectations has certainly captured the attention of the 6th grade teaching staff. Through courage, respect, and determination, Santi appreciates the importance of leading by example through chivalrous acts. He is truly a Gryffindor at heart. Other impressive qualities already noticed in his short time include confidence, self-discipline, and a strong work ethic. We look forward to a wonderful year. Congratulations,
Oh, we're going to line you up, Santi. We're going to stand them all up. We're going to line.
Where's the TV? All right, from the 7th grade, Colton Cusia. Is Colton here this evening? I had a feeling. He wasn't certain if he was going to make it, but I will still include what his teachers had written on his nomination form. Colton Cusia is 7th grade's nomination for Student of the Month. Colton embodies the true essence of kindness and courage. He goes above and beyond to show kindness and to his peers and teachers. Whether it's offering a helping hand or comforting words, he helps create an atmosphere of inclusivity, and that is commendable. He is embracing new experiences this year as a 7th grader and isn't afraid to step out of his comfort zone, showing a level of bravery that we admire. His kindness and courage go hand in hand, teaching us that these qualities are not just words, but actions that create a more compassionate and positive school climate. Congratulations, Colton. The 8th grade student of the month is Hunter Andrews. Hunter is here with his parents, Tammy and Johnny, and he is the youngest of 6 and has 3 siblings who have also attended Cuyahoga Heights. He is a resident of Cuyahoga Heights, and his favorite subject in school is science. He plays the trumpet in the band, and when he isn't working on schoolwork, he enjoys reading books. When I asked him what his favorite genre was, he said fantasy. His most memorable school experience so far has been at Cuyahoga Heights has been the elementary field day his 5th grade year. He hopes to, when he finishes school here, to work in construction as a general contractor in the future. And here is what his teachers had to say. Hunter Andrews is the 8th grade nomination for Student of the Month for the month of September. Hunter has started off the year strong, and with his necessary supplies, he has had the courage to participate in class daily ever since the first day of school. We are proud of the kind, considerate young man Hunter is becoming and cannot wait to see his success continue throughout the year. Congratulations, Hunter. From the 9th grade, we invite Lorelei Winslow. Lorelei is here with her parents, Chris and Maria, and she has an older sister who also attends Cuyahoga Heights, and the family resides in Brooklyn Heights. Her favorite subject in school is social studies. Lorelei is in Model UN, mock trial, student council, art club, orchestra. She is a member of the soccer team, basketball team, and track team, and is also the president of her class. Her most memorable school experience was her 8th grade field trip to Washington, D.C. She wants to become an athletic trainer after she graduates from Cuyahoga Heights. And here is what one of her teachers wrote. It is already apparent that Lorelei Winslow is a leader in her grade. She is active in Model UN and will try out for our mock trial team. She is curious and always prepared in her world history class. She is positive, affable, and willing to help out her peers. We really appreciate all her hard work and the positive attitude in and out of the classroom. We are very proud of you. Keep it up. Congratulations, Lorelei. Student of the month from the 10th grade is Aiden Marvel. There you are. I'm looking right past you. Aiden is here with his mother, Lori. They are residents of Cuyahoga Heights, and Aiden says he has an older sister who also is a graduate of Cuyahoga Heights. His favorite subject in school is science, and outside of school, he enjoys playing video games on his computer. Something that others may not know about Aiden is that he likes doing voiceover impressions of TV and movie characters as well as famous actors. And he claims that his Plankton impression from SpongeBob SquarePants is his best. Maybe we'll hear it later. But he hopes to use that skill of his voice to become an actor or a voiceover in animations after high school. And here is what his teachers wrote. I would like to nominate sophomore Aiden Marvel for Student of the Month for September. Aiden is a quiet student that strives to do his very best every day in my art class. Aiden asks for guidance when needed and has a very positive attitude. Aiden might not be the most gifted artist, but he is awesome. But his awesome attitude and willingness to try his hardest makes him truly special. His effort and attention to detail will serve him well in life. Keep up the great work, and congratulations, Aiden. Yerika Tangari, please come forward. Yerika is the 11th grade student of the month for September. She's here with her parents, Mansi and Guru, and she has an older sister who also graduated from Cuyahoga Heights. The family live in Brooklyn Heights, and her favorite subject is math. Yerika's list of schools or activities that she's involved with is quite extensive. She's on the volleyball team, the basketball, the track team. She's a member of the French club, the Spanish club, Recoup Club, Student Council, National Honor Society, and she is the vice president of the junior class. She is also a member of the choir and orchestra. She is very busy. After college, she intends to pursue a career in the medical field or in engineering or some type of biomedical pursuit. Here is what her teacher had written. I have had the distinct pleasure to have had Yerika 3 years in a row in Honors World, AP Euro, and now AP US History. Yerika is a remarkable and well-rounded young adult, very much a leader among her peers, and her affability, maturity, drive, and innate intellect will serve her well. She has pushed herself to participate in sports, the arts, Model UN, and in clubs. Lastly, I do not think that there has been a single day in her tenure at the high school that she has failed to ask me how my day has been. Quite honestly, I am surprised to see that Yerika has not yet won Student of the Month. And in my opinion, this is long overdue. Congratulations. So when I call the students down and I tell them, hey, are you going to be here tonight, and give them a little warning as to what I might say about them and discuss with them what are things that I can use to introduce them, I don't tell them who nominated them or what they had said about them. So as I'm reading what the teachers had written, it's for the first time they're hearing it as well. So next, for the senior class, Kellen Katona. Please come forward. Kellen is here with his parents, Shelby and Mike. He has a twin sister and an older brother. Both his older brother and dad are alumni of Cuyahoga Heights. His family resides in Valley View, and Kellen's favorite subject in school is social studies. He is a member of the art club and mock trial, and he stated that his most memorable school experience was participating in mock trial last year when they almost made it to the state tournament. Kellen plans on becoming a lawyer after graduation and his pursuit through college. And here's what his teacher had written. I have had the pleasure to have had Kellen all 4 years in four of my classes, AP Euro, International Current Events, Law 1, and Law 2. One of the distinct pleasures of teachers that teachers are lucky enough to witness is seeing a student grow. Kellen faced his trepidations about speaking in front of others and commanded the room during the mock trial competition and managed to trip up another school's attorney that had been participating in the competition for far longer than he has. Lastly, Kellen is a mature, well-rounded, and clever young adult that has a bright and promising future. I cannot wait to see him compete in this year's mock trial competition and with Model UN at the Model UN conference. Congratulations, Kellen. You deserve it. And next, I'll have you guys stay up here. Mr. Kiefer will announce the elementary school Students of the Month.
Thank you. This month's Student of the Month were nominated by our AMP teachers. Kids in here can tell you what AMP means, but our lead AMP teacher here, Christopher. Come on, Christopher, you want to tell me what AMP means? Yeah. Tell me. Tell us. Shout it out.
AMP is a special day when we have all music and PE at the same time. Sometimes we have camp days, and sometimes we go outside.
Okay. Thank you, Christopher. Gave the definition and even told us what it was all about, so thank you. And once again, I'd like to shout out to Mr. Bertolone, who's being here, who helped to write these for these two students this evening. And also a very close and personal friend and mentor, Mrs. Russell, is here for Gabby, so thank you for being here. Miss Davis, a new staff member at the elementary schools here as well, acting in capacity as aunt tonight. So these two students, this is excuse me, a little special for me because I taught both their parents. So it's really weird. And there's a lot of that goes on over there. And I remember the Sudlow family very well, all three of them. As I talked with their niece, their daughter, and then Lance, I taught Lance back there, and Mom back there, Erin. We just figured out she was in 7th grade when I came in 5th grade in 1983. But with, okay, I'm old. I know. All right, but makes you feel even older, maybe. Okay, but the name Erin Harris, as it went through the high school and what she had accomplished here, in many ways, is something else. And today I get to call her my friend and colleague. So first, we're going to honor Gabby. Come here, Gabby. You're a young lady. I just said to her mother, Gabby's like, when I interviewed her in my office, I'm like, she's 11, going on 31. I could have sat all afternoon with her. Had some coffee, or,
Yes,
cupcakes. So there's a little bit about Gabby. She lives in Parma with her mom. And I take it this is Keith. How do you pronounce your last name? Van? Okay, there you go. Thank you for attending this evening. And her name is Gabby Rocker. Her dad is Mario Rocker. So she has a mom and stepdad in one family. So she has the convenience of two families. Lucky her. With dad and stepmom and stepsister. And then she does have 5 dogs. I don't know how she keeps them all straight. We talked about that. 2 fish tanks and lots of animals there she gets to take care of. Her favorite subject at school is science because it's fun. She wants to be a scientist when she grows up, she shared with me. Her favorite essentials, Mr. Bertolone, you're going to love this, art and music, because instruments she loves and she loves to draw. Outside of school, she's active in softball. She played for Cuyahoga Heights this summer. They said they were first place. Sorry, Valley View. Brooklyn Heights, that's what she said when she shared it with me. When she grows up, she wants to do something in the science field. So, of course, yes, she wants to go to college. Message for her parents that are with us in the audience. She just thanks for having me. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Now, the AMP team of Mrs. Orlando, our art specialist, Mr. Bertoloni, our music specialist, and our PE specialist, Mr. Huffman, wrote this about Gabby. And I think we'd all agree they're in the audience that know her. Gabby is an exemplary student and positive role model for her classmates at CHS. She carves her own path with confidence and grace, helping others along the way. For her teachers, she is a joy to teach, soaking up all there is to know and pushing herself to get better and better at all she does. For her classmates, she is a friend who can be counted on. She is positive, hardworking, curious, helpful, and kind. Gabby has already made a positive impact on our school and the world, and we know she is just getting started. Congratulations, Gabby. I have some things in here for you to take home. So take your folder and stand in line over there. We're going to get a picture when we're done. And lastly, last but not least, there's Zach. You know, I was out for a couple days last week. Come here, Zach. Jack. Every time. How many times have I called you Lance? Too many. Right. My name is Jack, Mr. Sorry. Okay. So I was out sick last week for a couple days, and I get to interview the kids. And the day that I was supposed to call home, I wanted to call both mom and dad. And so Mr. Young stole my joy, as he always does, and calls Zach Dunn. Jack. Would you like to share what Mr. Young did with your mother?
We called my mom over because she works over here, and I said that I punched Mr. Young.
And how many days did you give him? 35. So I missed that opportunity because I was just going to bring him over to the high school and say, he's gone. You know what this boy did? He is our congratulations, Jack. He does live most recently here in Cuyahoga Heights and Valley View. Lucky boy. You need a house in Brooklyn Heights. You can say you got all three communities. Lives with mom and lives with dad and stepsister, and stepmom. No pets though. No pets. His favorite subject is math. He likes to learn what they're learning now. So I'll have to tell your math teacher whatever we're doing right now. Number sense, I guess. Favorite essentials? Sorry, PE. Yeah. The boy's a natural athlete, like his parents. So outside of school, he loves to play with his friends. When he wants to grow up, he wants to be an NFL quarterback. So when he wants to go to college, Mr. Evans, you know where he wants to go?
Where do you want to go?
What do you think?
The Ohio State University? Grandpa's back there with
Okay.
I saw what
Calm
Grandpa
down.
came rolling in tonight, and I thought, well, that's going to be a tough sell.
Oh, wait.
I was talking to Grandma over there. I'm like, who's the man in the mission? Oh, that's your husband. I'm like, okay. I'm going to get through this with the OSU here. So he wants to thank Dad for helping him with sports. Thank you, Dad. And thank Mom for always helping with his schoolwork and the things he does. So thank you, Mom. The AMP teachers wrote Jack has many admirable qualities that we value here at CHES. Leadership, curiosity, athleticism, creativity, and kindness are a few that come to mind. Jack radiates happiness and brings a smile to school each day. Yes, he does. Usually along with an awesome story to share. He does what is right, even when it would be easier to go along with the crowd. He also cares for his classmates, even those who may not possess the same competence that he does. Jack uses his many gifts to make the world around him a better place. And for that, he should be very proud. Congratulations, Jack. There you go. And that concludes our ceremony of student of the month. So we're going to get some pictures.
What we're gonna do next is we take a little break. We've got the backdrop out here. If we can get all the students by the backdrop and the board members, we wanna get a students and school board picture, and then parents, you can take all the pictures and all the poses that you want.
Present tonight to make a comment, so we'll move on to agenda item number 6, Treasurer's Business. Mr. Muccio.
Thank you, Mr. Dobbins. Just a couple items tonight for approval. First item is 6A, 7A through 7D. I ask for those items in the consent agenda.
So may I have a motion to approve the Treasurer's consent agenda items, please?
So moved.
Mr. Souchaki moves.
Second.
Ms. Etter seconds. Mr. Muccio, discussion, please?
For 7A, new vendors, we just have one new vendor, and that would be the Center for Interactive Learning and Collaboration. That would be for a elementary school virtual field trip, kind of like a Zoom, is my understanding. That's kind of cool. 7B, purchase orders over 5,000. On the lead sheet, we have 6 in total. The first one is for Summit County ESC. That's for elementary school mathematics consulting for the school year, 6 days of that, through Title II grant, $6,649.50. Number 2 is Petiti Garden Centers, and that's for the senior class fall mum fundraiser, $5,555. 3 and 4 are through Neonet for internet services, as well as member support and frontline license fees, $25,848 and $17,051.85. 5 and 6 deal with our board-approved copier contract back in March. Those amounts are $19,500, $19,670 for the school year. Close that. Item 7C would be our permanent appropriations for the year. So back on, if I open that attachment, on June 21st, at that board meeting, we had approved our temporary appropriations for fiscal year '24. Before the month of October, we have to approve a permanent appropriation, so this is really our starting one for the year. We just have 4 modifications from that temporary one. Nothing with the general fund, that stays intact. Fund 6, which is our food service fund, increased by $10,000 due to inflationary costs. I discussed that with Pam Mead. Fund 19, an increase of $1,000. That's due to the new superintendent grant that we have. Fund 451, a small increase of $138.30 due to more K-12 connectivity funds from the state. And Fund 499, that's an increase of $5,000 for the Bureau of Workers' Compensation Transitional Work Grant that we're closing out this fiscal year. And 7D is just a then and now statement that we have with Neonet that we're capturing. Those are the items I have for approval tonight.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Muccio? If not, let's move to a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Ms. Prowse? Mr. Dobbins?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Treasurer's discussion.
Just 3 items. First one, 9A would be our 5-year forecast. So we're getting close to November. The year has been flying by quick. So I have a timeline that we have in place. So at the work session on November 1st, we could review the November 2023 5-year forecast. And then the following board meeting, November 15th, we would approve that 5-year forecast. That sounds like a plan. Gotcha.
I would just
Yeah.
mention, I'm gonna be out of town for the 15th.
Okay. Gotcha. And that's just more of a formality that we
Okay.
approve it. The long meeting would be November 1st, where we go through everything.
You want to switch this?
9B would be levy info. That's just our, information item that we have on our levy, which has the breakdown. What will this levy cost me? What will this levy fund? And why do school districts rely on levies in the first place? And 9C would be our fiscal '22 audit is wrapping up. So that's completed by the Auditor of State's office. So they are looking to have an exit conference for that audit, and it's tentatively scheduled for October 4th's board meeting. So it would be similar to an executive session, but we have this whenever we close out the audit. We did it virtually the past couple of years that we had in place. They're coming back out on site, so it would be Matt Goldman and Megan Jenkins, and they would do it at 6 o'clock when the meeting starts. So we would go out for 20 minutes or so, have that meeting with the auditors, similar to an executive session, and come back in for the meeting that we would have in place.
So would this meeting with the auditors, would that be rolled into the next meeting's agenda document so that, you know, the board members can follow it? Or is this kind of a carve-out and it's going to precede the actual opening of the board meeting?
It's kind of a carve-out.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So we as board members shouldn't necessarily see this as a part of the October 4th agenda? Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Yep. And those are
Do
the
we
other-
need to, as a board, take any action, or we just meet here at 6 and then meet privately with the auditor's office staff?
Yeah, we just meet here, and then they
Okay.
call us out and we
Okay.
go out.
Okay, thank you.
we have to say the meeting technically starts later?
We could have it start at 6 and just take a pause, or we can, delay it, for 20 minutes or so, either or.
In the past, I think it's been a carve-out, it's
Yep.
been an exception to the meeting
Yep.
agenda. So I'm fine with that approach, but unless others have a different preference. Okay, we're hearing none, then what's gonna go the way we've been doing it? We'll just be here at 6, but do something firstly. Okay, thank you.
Gotcha. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muccio. Agenda item number 10, Mr. Evans.
Superintendent's business, general business, I ask for consent agenda approval on items 10A and 10B. Deal with OHSAA events, 11A and 11B, those are supplementals for Chase and Chat, and 12A through D, which is substitutes, testing coordinators, and a long-term sub for the district. And, sorry, am I scrolling here? And 13, A through E, agreements, memberships, and contracts. I ask that those items be approved on the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. So may I have a motion to approve the superintendent's consent agenda items as he's described them?
So moved.
Ms. Decker moves, I'll second. Mr. Evans?
The general, that's for us to host OHSA events, allows me to sign on contracts, and then should we have state qualifiers or team state qualifier, that we can go ahead and make those arrangements, because those are always kind of, happen on a Friday, and we gotta be in Columbus on a Thursday, so there's rarely a board meeting in between for us to get something approved, so I can go ahead and make those, and then we, bring them to the board then afterwards. Supplemental positions, the first one are chat contracts. You'll see, some supplementals filled for NHS, NJHS, class trip coordinator for the 8th grade, fall faculty sports manager, scoreboard operator, and a scorer are some additions there. The only one on the miscellaneous pay rate is for a ticket taker. One more ticket taker, and under the employment, Doug Amari is our testing coordinator for 23-24. Doug's in his, third year of doing that. Matt Young helps, Mr. Young helps, Mr. Young is helped by Mr. Amari. We pay Doug at his sub-rate. Yeah. Yep, that goes back to, Stan Durbin and that. And Melissa Nemeth is already an employee in our cafeteria. We're gonna add 2 hours to her day. She's gonna help us out by cleaning up in the cafeterias afterwards. That's a nice add for us. Christina Boning, we're in need of a long-term sub in the elementary building. Several pregnancies in the district, so Christina is gonna help us out there. She's a licensed teacher and a resident, and the substitute teacher list from the ESC. Contracts, Tremco Roofing Services. This is rescinding the previous agreement, and then B is the new agreement. There were some changes that had to be made in the agreement. You see the total on there. This is just for regular maintenance. In other words, they come and they check the roofs on a monthly basis. They do some minor repairs if they need to be done, some flashing, any major stuff, they would come back to us, and that would be billed separately. But these are monthly checks on our roofs to make sure that our roofs are in good shape. Our gifted plan, Mr. Young worked diligently on that, and you've had that for a couple weeks. There's just a couple minor highlighted changes that were in that. DJ agreement with Cleveland Music for the photo booth for the 2024 prom. I want hats off to that Cleveland Music Group as well, because they helped the group tie down the House of Blues with their connections for prom. So that was a kind of parent helping out there. And dropout recovery program agreement with the ESC, we have to have one, and we tie into one at the ESC, so I'm asking for those items for approval.
Any questions or comments from Mr. Evans?
Just a little bit on the roof thing, how is it, How is the new one different from the old one?
They didn't update it. He thought that he thought that he forwarded the new agreement, and he hadn't. So there were some dates that were inaccurate and some other things in it. So he just had to rescind that one and give the corrected, updated one.
Okay, thanks.
And I don't know if that was on their end or our end, but I didn't talk to Jake. Mr. Zerbola came to me to let me know that we approved the wrong agreement somehow.
Okay, thanks.
Well, if there's no other questions or comments for Mr. Evans, let's move to the roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye.
Ms. Prowse?
Motion passes 5-0. Agenda item 15, superintendent's reports, comments.
Had a real good kickoff to a best Monday night, a good turnout. Had some three students there. Mr. Young talked a little bit about what our charge is going to be as far as a portrait of a student here, and kind of retooling our pillars throughout the course of the year. The last couple of years, we've been really heavily focused on finance and building. Those things kind of stay in place, but we need to start talking about students and things that we need to do. So kind of a nice introduction, a very good turnout last night as well. On October the 2nd, there'll be a town hall meeting in our auditorium, an informational meeting about the levy. So it's a question and answer period. I'll be there, Mr. Muccio will be there. Anybody can show up that they have questions about finance, district operations, what have you. We'll do the best we can to answer those. In the auditorium.
At what time, I'm sorry?
5:30,
5:30, is it?
I believe 7.
Okay.
Is it 6:30 or 7 to 8? I should have had that around.
That's right. I was looking to update my calendar today, and I was wondering that very question. Okay.
What day of the week is that, a Monday?
It's a Monday night because Mr. Young and I will be leaving afterwards for Columbus because we have BASA Tuesday and Wednesday. I've got it. I'll pull off my personal calendar here. I've got it there.
Well, thank you for that update. Mr. Evans, do you have any other updates for the board or comments?
I think we talked previously about the vouchers and the number that have been, and I forwarded some emails to you today about just some clarifying things that, in regards to the 6:30 to 8:30, I'm sorry, on the levy information.
Thank you.
Just some clarifying information on the group that's trying to take the state to court over the vouchers and the push that they're making. So I thought they have some real valid points. We'll see that it's actually kind of moving itself along a little bit, and we are a part of that. So some interesting things there.
Very good, thank you. If there's no other questions or comments for Mr. Evans, let's move on to agenda item 16, which is board policy review and adoption. Maybe the best way to do is to just make a motion to approve the policies described in item 16A through 16S. And once we get, if we get a second, then open that up for discussion. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the board policies that are described, summarized in item 16A through 16S, like Sam. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Souchaki seconds. Is there any discussion? Just as background, I was reading through these today, and I apologize for doing so late, but it caught my eye that the third policy, 141.2, is a revised conflicts of interest policy, and it speaks to board members' activities and potential conflicts. And so if the board has not yet had a chance to review that policy, I would offer that if they would like to have this pulled out and allow additional time to review that, I'm open to that. On the other hand, if the board is comfortable moving forward, we could proceed as we've discussed. The other policy that kind of caught my eye was the policy 9211, which is district support organizations. There's some language in there that seems to suggest that board members should be dissuaded from serving as officers of district support organizations, or am I misreading that? Mr. Young, do you have any thoughts?
So
that was an option to choose. We did not select that
Okay.
because if you look at the guidance, and I've got that up here right now, so if I go down to that one, district support organization, you'll see here at the bottom, it simply says this option is offered for consideration. It's not, some of these say the revision reflects current state law and should be adopted in order to maintain accurate policies. This is simply one that was for consideration. It can work for you or against you if you say, we don't want any of our employees to be affiliated with organizations loosely connected to the school, but not directly, like a PTO or an athletic booster or a band booster. Then you could put that into your policy, and you have a very clear boundary between what is public school and what is connected to the public school, so that if there's any exchange of money or conflicts of interest, that would not overlap. But because we're a small school district and this doesn't seem to be an issue for us, we did not check that option, and we left to leave it open so that a board member, a teacher, a support staff member could be a treasurer of the PTO, or could be the vice president of the athletic booster, or could simply fundraise for the band booster. Like, we wanted to make sure that we didn't feel that it was necessary to restrict ourselves that way. But if, obviously if the board feels differently about it, then this is the opportunity to take a moment and pause and think about it a little bit. But when Mr. Evans and I sat down, we just selected the option that was consistent with what our current policy is.
This is what I talked to John about last time around too. And he said we're just, quite frankly, we're just too small. We have
Right.
too many people that are involved in too many things that it's not, as long as we're doing our due diligence on this, and we don't have 3 board members that come to every board meeting and insist that we spend more money on XYZ program every night, and then they're looking out. So we don't have those issues. So John said that, we were perfectly safe doing what we did. As far as the conflict of interest, I think those of us that were around when we adopted that, I think that was probably about a 6-month process of us looking at that. So I would almost recommend to the board, let's pull it off of this meeting, and let's give it at least another meeting to everybody to take a look at it now that you brought it to our attention, and make sure that everybody's found it, because there was a lot of time spent on looking at that and what it was and what it meant, and so I certainly don't want to rush this through. So I would recommend to the board that they pull the conflict of interest off for approval this time, and then we can have some discussion.
Yeah, it's a
at the next
current
meeting.
policy for us.
Yeah.
I think one that maybe you voted to remove at one point before I came here was maybe a nepotism policy. So that policy has been removed, and that is not that this is a conflict of interest bylaw. And I thought, when I listened back, that you removed that policy because you felt this policy covered it. And all this did, and again, I agree with Mr. Evans, if there's any questions about either one of these, it's better to take a step back. There were no options to check here. It was simply expanding the definition of what a conflict of interest would be for a board member who is employed at a corporation, a business, a political subdivision, or a public or private institution of higher education. That language was simply added. It wasn't an option to pick it or not to pick it. In fact, this entire policy, there were no options to pick. It was just changing, you can see some of the semantics, and then simply expanding that one sentence right there. So, but as Mr. Evans says, if this is something on your recommendation, if you feel like you need to take a step back just to internalize it a little bit, then that's the prudent thing to do.
So I take it that there's no sense of urgency on your, Mr. Evans' part, to have the board take an action on this particular policy this evening? If it pushed back,
No, if
The
you
next
remember
meeting
correctly,
or
this
2
was back when the board was interjecting some of its own language into policies. And this was one of those policies that the board had interjected its own language into that.
right?
And we eventually got back to this basic policy, but that was a pretty lengthy process at the time. And I would rather take extra time to make sure everybody has read it and is comfortable with it. And
Take the current policy,
Yeah.
take the revised policy, put them side by side, and just so you can see what the changes are. There's nothing wrong
So
with that.
I've,
Changes are the ones that are highlighted
In green.
Okay.
But as Mr. Evans says, if, however, one of those policies was changed, not by Neola, but some language was changed by action of the board, then it may be even farther from what this law says, number one. Number two, it may not even be protected under Neola, because Neola says explicitly, if you, by local decision, alter our policies with options that we did not offer, then we cannot guarantee the support if you do break that policy, so.
Ultimately, this went back to the recommendation from Neola, but that was a lengthy process that we talked about this, like I said, over probably a 3-month period of time on multiple occasions, so.
Well, I've raised this, and Mr. Evans and Mr. Young have offered their insights, and I appreciate what they've done. So I'm just going to put it out for discussion. Is there a sentiment among board members that they would like to have further time to review this? Or if they're comfortable with it as it's been described and as it's written, we can proceed to a vote on this. I just want to make sure that we are aware of this particular policy that directs and is aimed at board member conduct. That's my goal.
Because of our history with this particular item, as Mr. Young described, that's probably not a bad idea to stop and look at it one more time, just to be sure. Because there were a whole lot of policies, and if next time we get to focus on just this one, I think I'd feel more comfortable with it.
Okay.
Especially if I'm called on to defend it.
Are there other thoughts on this? Okay. Well, then, I'm going to ask that we pull this policy from the motion. I guess I can, can I revise the motion, or what would I do, Mr. Muccio?
I can pull it. It's 16C, just double checking.
16C, policy 0141.2, revised conflict of interest. We had planned to approve that policy in connection with a master motion that's now pending. But what I'd like to do is pull that out, and we can add that to a future meeting's agenda after there's been a chance to have further reflection. So do we need to do anything else with the motion? Are we good? Okay. All right. Well, unless anyone else has any additional thoughts or comments, or would like to discuss any of these policies in greater detail, I'm ready to move to a roll call vote then with the amended resolution.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki.
Aye.
Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Ms. Prowse.
The amended motion passes 5-0. We're now into item 17, board business resolutions. We just did those. Items 17A, B, and C, I'm going to make a motion to approve those matters under consent agenda. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, with that, we can open this up for discussion. Mr. Muccio, you've been kind of the point person on the HSA matters. Could you provide a bit of an update?
Absolutely. So great work by our Health Cost Containment Committee, first off, with, exploring the option of HSAs, which are health savings accounts. And we spent a number of meetings discussing, the information on those with the consultant from Suburban Health Consortium. And we were able to get rates, particularly for our school, and what that would look like. And we had to go through a negotiation process with both unions to eventually come to a MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that just has the specifics for the school district offering HSA for all employees here. So that's what we see in front of us for 17A and B. It's the same MOU. One is for Chase, one is for Chat. That's the only difference between the two. 17C is approval of KeyBank as the HSA administrator. So KeyBank, and I got them to do this for free, they would be the ones that oversee the debit cards and people logging into their website to, take control of their own HSA. So they would be the administrator of it. And I've scheduled tentatively for next week, Tuesday, 2 different sessions. I talked about it with Mr. Evans and both unions, that we would have one start at 2:45 at the high school, and then the second one start at 3:45 at the elementary school. and we would invite Frank Caparsa, who's the consultant with Suburban Health Consortium, as well as KeyBank, and they're going to do an hour presentation, both schools, just on the info of HSAs. And that's before the open enrollment period, which would start in October, when members would have the option of electing it if they would like it. So,
And my understanding is that the substance of these two memorandums reflect the board's commitment or willingness to pay 70% of the participating employees' deductible.
correct.
That's what, if we approve these, that's what we would be approving is funding at that level. And the idea is that 100% of the board's contributions to the employees' deductibles would be derived from savings by those employees not opting into the conventional healthcare plan, or I don't know what the right word is, but the standard healthcare plan. That's my understanding, and that's what our action is, I believe, predicated on.
Correct, correct.
Okay, great. Is there any other discussion? I do want to thank Mrs. Prowse. She attended a lot of meetings this summer, and she attended an important meeting early Friday morning. And Mr. Muccio and many others from staff and the unions that collaborate, that work together to get to this outcome. So if there's no other discussion, let's move to a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dobbins?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker, were you second?
Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye.
Ms. Prowse?
Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to agenda item 19, board discussion. Does anyone have any matters that they'd like to bring before the board tonight? Okay, I'm just going to bring one thing to your attention, which is the Northeastern Region Fall Conference. We've been receiving flyers and an email from OSBA's representative. Mr. Evans, do you have any updates on that? Or
I tried to get a hold of Reno today, and I
Okay.
left him a message just to
Okay.
see if he knew that we were gonna be a part of any of the recognition.
Yeah.
And he hadn't gotten back to me yet, so.
Okay.
That's
all
the
right.
same night of our board meeting though, right?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that is. I apologize. I
Yeah.
was thinking it was not. So, yeah, that wouldn't work. My bad. Okay, well, there's
I mean-
two reasons not to proceed
I
with
mean,
that.
it could work, but just note that we
Yeah,
might
no,
be here.
thank you. I hadn't focused on that. Okay, is there anything else for the board for the greater good, the discussion this evening? If not, let's move to agenda item 20. Board, okay, any items for future agenda? I would note that next meeting's agenda will include an executive session to conclude the evaluation that we've been working on, and so that, just give everybody a heads up about that, and I believe the 5 of us are going to be together. Moving on to agenda item 21A, it should be noted that Board of Education members received their agendas several days prior to the actual meeting, thus they have had considerable opportunity to study and ask questions, etc. Upcoming board meetings, Wednesday, October 4th, 2023 at 6 p.m. It's a work session. Wednesday, October 18th at 7 p.m. And Wednesday, November 1st, work session at 6 p.m. And with that, I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn to executive session. I move that the board adjourn to executive session pursuant to section ORC section 121.22G3 for a conference with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action, et cetera. So may I have a second, please?
Second. Second.
Ms. Etter seconds, okay? There's no discussion. Let's move to a roll call vote.
Mr. Dobbins?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye.
Ms. Prowse?
Motion passes 5-0. It's 8 p.m. and we are in executive session.